Okay, now on to the fun stuff, solving equations. This is like the best stuff in math, in my opinion, but I just love math. What can I say? So we're going to draw a line here, and we're going to use Decimos a lot, so let's be ready for that too. First of all, let's read this. It says 6 times x minus 17 is exactly the same as 19 plus 12 times x. Now, we don't have any distribution, so we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to combine any like terms on one side or the other, but we do have variables on both sides, so we've got to take care of that. So when we have a variable on this side of that castle wall, we've got to put a magical box around it, and we're going to do the opposite of what's inside the box. So we're going to subtract 12x from both sides. And remember, line up the x's, line up the numbers. So we're going to come over here and we're going to do 6 minus 12, and that gives me negative 6x. I'm going to bring down the minus 17 equals 19. Then I'm going to look at it again. Negative 6 times x minus 17 equals 19. So I'm going to have to go after this negative 17 first, because you always go after the number that's by itself before you go after the number that's with the x. So I'm going to bring down negative 6x equals, and I'm going to come back over to my calculator, and I'm going to do 19 and plus 17, and that gives me 36. So next I have to attack that number that's bothering my x and divide both sides by negative 6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the next line. I'm going to press the answer key, brings down that 36, and I'm going to divide by a negative 6, and that gives me negative 6. Now this is the interesting part. I am going to check this in Decimos, and I want to make sure every single person knows how to do this, because it will save you in a lot of situations. So I'm going to start by typing x equals negative 6, and I'm going to go on to the next line. I'm going to start with the first half of the equation, which is 6x minus 17. I'm going to go to the next line, and I'm going to do the second half of the equation, 19 plus 12x. If you notice, once you put in x equals negative 6, both halves of the equation equal negative 53. So negative 53 equals negative 53. Is that true? Absolutely it is. So that means that we solved this equation correctly. Okay, so stop this video, go back, watch that again, make sure you're absolutely good with how to do this. Now we've got a couple of more to solve, so let me move forward. This one has good old distribution and combining like terms in it. So I'm going to draw my line here, and I'm going to show you two ways to do this. First, I'm going to show you how to solve it and check it. Then I'm going to show you how to use your calculator just in case you get stuck, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do here always is the distribution. So 4 multiplied by 3x is 12x. Use your calculator for that. For everything you need to use your calculator. I'm going to go ahead and come over here and do it just to show you that it's the best way to do things. So 4 times 3 is 12. So we know we've got 12x there. Now we've got to multiply 4 times a negative 2, which gives me negative 8, and then I bring down negative 7 equals 9. Now let's use our calculator again, and we're going to combine like terms. I'm going to bring down the 12x, but before I move down any numbers, I'm going to put in negative 8 minus 7, which gives me minus 15 equals 9. So now I can just start solving. So I'm going to add 15 on each side. Okay, so I'm going to go down to my next line, and I'm going to start with 9, and I'm going to add 15, which gives me 24. And I'm going to bring down the 12x. And then I'm going to go over and I'm going to divide both sides by 12. And I'm going to use Decimos. Like I said, I'm going to show you that it's important to use it every time. 24 divided by 12 is 2. Now, that's all well and good, but we're going to check this to make sure that we're getting this done right, because we don't want to have any mistakes here. So let's start by typing in x equals 2. Then we're going to type in 4 parentheses 3x minus 2 close parentheses minus 7. And you'll see that Decimos gives us 9. That's that 9 right there. And as long as you can put in this half of the equation and get what's on the other side, you're in perfect shape. So that means you absolutely did it right. Now, what I'm going to show you is I'm going to go ahead and clear this part right up here. And on Decimos, so everybody look at Decimos, notice I've put in the 4 times 3x minus 2, close parentheses, minus 7. If you notice, there are 3 other choices here in our answers. So I'm going to come up here to x, and I'm going to try a, negative 2. Oops, I was in the wrong place. Negative 2. If you notice, when I put in negative 2, that gives me an answer of negative 39. That is not 9, so that cannot be right. All right, so I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to put in b, which is 1.5. That gives me negative 33. I need 9 for it to be correct. So I'm going to try d, which is negative 1.5. That gives me negative 33. Again, that is not correct. So let's try c just once more. If you notice, you put in the right answer, you get the right answer coming out. So you've got 2 different options. I would suggest you try to solve it and then try every single answer just to make sure that you've chosen the right one. Okay? Solving equations is something you're going to keep doing for a lot of years, so the better you get at it now, the better off we're all going to be. So let me go ahead and get my pen back. All right, so let's go right here and draw a line. I'm going to look at that. There is no distribution. There are not variables on both sides, but there's definitely combining like terms. So I'm going to come over to my calculator, and I'm going to start with negative 8. So negative 8, once I get here, negative 8. And then if you notice, that plus a is actually a plus 1, which gives me negative 7a. So let me get my pen back so I can write that down for you. So I've got negative 7a minus 12 equals 2. So our next step is going to be getting rid of that minus 12 by adding 12 to each side. Hi, Miss Finch. And then we've got, no problem, 2 plus 12 is equal to 14. So we've got negative 7 times a is equal to 14. So we're going to divide each side by negative 7. And I'm putting that in Decimos again because it's so important to just keep using it, because it will just keep you from making those silly mistakes. And we get a equals negative 2, which is fantastic. But now we have to check it. So let's put a equals negative 2 in our calculator. And then we're going to put in that entire half of the expression. Negative 8a plus a minus 12 gives us 2. And if you notice, that's what's right there. So we checked it and we know we're right. Always use your calculator to your advantage. There is no shame in that. It is a tool, and the better we are at using tools, the better off we're going to be. All right, guys, it looks like it. Be ready for your test tomorrow. Keep looking over these, please, and we believe you can do great.